Hey there. So I'm just gonna talk about, uh, the main reasons I'm even making anything is just to get stuff off my head, stuff I've thought about. Um, in case you didn't see anything else, you know anything about me, I've always been heavy into psychology, philosophy, and logic. Although I didn't always use that well in my life, but uh, but I've always been interested in, when people would read novels, I would pick up books on philosophy or psychology and stuff, and people would ask, "Are you studying that?" No, just interested, which seems strange to people. um, and so, one thing that's been kind of bothering me about current society, which there's a lot that's bothering me, and I would say probably part of it is you get older and things are much different. I mean, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so it's a whole nother world today um, compared to then. There's no internet, cell phones, and all this, and on and on and on. Virtual reality and all this stuff, social media and everything. Um, but one thing I don't like is that they just arbitrarily will just change the definition of a word. You can't do that. It's not legit. I mean, they'll take a slang word and make it now a legit word, or they'll just completely change the definition of a word. Um, One of the ones that's pretty serious. Excuse me. I'm sorry. My nose is dripping. Um, is definition of a assault weapon. Well, guess what? In America, for decades, there's not been any state that you could walk into to any gun store and buy an assault weapon. It's a very specific definition. And of course, they want to ban guns, but they don't want to ban. They don't care too much about the little handguns because it's hard to defend yourself from the man. From the FBI or from ATF or soldiers. If all you had is a little handgun with 10 rounds, there's only so much you can do. But if you have an AR-15 or a Mac 90, which is the Chinese version of the AK, I used to have one of those. Phenomenal, phenomenal. Um, um, that's what they want to ban. They don't care about the illegal weapons. They don't care about taking guns out of criminals' hands. The gang members and the drug dealers and street thugs. That they put minimal effort on that, and they put all of their effort on regular people. And nowadays, of course, it's more specific to conservative or Trump people because, you know, to the powers that be, the deep state, well, that's the threat to them because conservatives won't bend the knee. We don't have a slave mentality. We don't say yes, massa. They tell you to wear a mask. We say screw you. We're not going to wear a mask because it's useless. You know what I mean? And we believe in this country. We believe in the Constitution, and they hate that. So they're trying everything to stop that because you can't fully take over a country, which they're almost there, a couple steps away. The main thing that's stopping them is the Second Amendment. This wasn't even about Second Amendment, but I'm starting to go off the Second Amendment. So let me just go back. So anyway, they've just changed the definition of assault weapons just to try and ban AR-15s and AR-15-like weapons. Anyway, also every word has 2, 3 different definitions. Pretty much every word, I think. And sometimes people get stuck on just one definition, like ignorant. If you call someone ignorant, it depends on the circumstances, and if that's an insult or it's, I mean, because for example, I don't know anything about astrophysics. So if you say you're ignorant on astrophysics, okay, not an insult. That's just a fact. I'm ignorant when it comes to astrophysics. Doesn't mean I'm dumb. Just when it comes to that, I don't know squat. Right? But most people use ignorant now as calling someone stupid. And but when I hear it used, it seems like really is they're actually saying you just don't know what you're talking about on this subject. But they're saying it with a little stank, and they're saying it like, yeah, you're stupid. No, they're not stupid. If they don't know that much about a subject and you know a lot more, that doesn't mean they're stupid. Which leads me to another thing. If somebody doesn't know something, then that's an opportunity to educate them. At least try. And I've found in my life that when you teach someone, it makes your understanding of what you're teaching even deeper. You know? It helps you master that subject, whatever it is. Like when I was a salesperson, you know, and sales manager, general sales manager, I mastered the art of selling. Not just the basics. First, you start with the basics, the meat and potatoes of it, that you have to stick to. You have to stick with, and then the advanced stuff. So you don't truly master it just simply by learning it and memorizing it. You have to practice it like crazy, and you have to get it down pat. And then when you teach it, and you teach it as perfectly as you can, that's when you become a master at that. And I truly became a sales master. I mean, when I was in my zone, I could sell ice to Eskimos and beachfront properties in Arizona. I mean, it didn't matter what it was, I could sell it to you. And one thing I used to do, and a lot of people that interview salespeople, they'll do the old, okay, here's a pen, sell me the pen. And most of the time, almost always, the salesperson goes, and they're stuck. They got to really, you know, excuse me, I'm sorry. They have to really think about it. Not me. I'm right into it, and it doesn't matter what it is. You just go right into it. Anyway, it did remind me of one. My sister Anna, she's really good at sales, and she had me come in when she was selling newspapers for the Long Beach Telegraph. She was selling advertising. And she just wanted someone from the outside who knows sales to come in and just give a different perspective to the sales staff. Well, I got real serious attitude from some of the salespeople. They were, who's this guy? You don't even know, you've never sold, newspaper advertisement. You don't know anything. Especially this one Asian lady. She was just real attitude. So then I said, okay, great. Let's role play. So we did a role play, and I'm, as usual, smooth as silk. And she just was like, and she grabbed a pen, piece of paper. Repeat that? What did you say? She thought I didn't know. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again. I'm a silly boy. So, I'm sorry. I'm not in the best of health, and sometimes stuff happens. So, apologize for coughing and sniffling. Where was I? Oh, yeah. You know, in the old days, the olden timey days, if someone had different politics, Okay, so what? You just rationally just discussed it, and that was it. It's no big deal. I mean, you had people that were married, and they knew from long before the marriage that one was a Democrat, one's a Republican. They were happily married forever. I mean, it's just politics. It's like, you know. Um, but then now they've turned that into just a nightmare. So anyway, and there's other things like where you'll have somebody who has some sort of fame or influence. They'll say something, they're wrong, and now millions of people now believe that. Like 20 years ago, almost no one thought the Earth was flat, and if you did, you were a crackpot. Um, and then if I remember correctly, he was like an NBA player, came out and said he thinks that the Earth might be flat. And I think one or two other people came out shortly after that, said the same thing. And next thing you know, there's millions, maybe tens of millions all over the world, people thinking that the Earth is flat. I mean, how insane is that? We've circumnavigated the globe billions of times, without turning around and coming back, just all the way around. We've been in space. We have space stations, satellites. We, we know the Earth is not flat, 100%. But there's people that actually believe it. I know there's some who just trying to get clicks, make some money off of it, but there's some that actually believe that. Why? Because someone famous said it. It must be true. And that's, like I said, I know psychology very well. And that's one of the things about humanity that just, it keeps us down. It keeps us from moving ahead, in the best way. A lot of people think that humans should be more evolved than we are right now, and it's probably true. But things like that keep us moving backward. We take 2 steps forward, we take 1.5 backward. So it's a creep and a crawl. And then you have, of course, too many people all over the world, here and everywhere, that just, they want to live in the past, basically. They want to keep old, old hatreds and stuff. Even though everything might be okay today, they can't deal with things being okay. They need that hatred. They need, that, I guess that gives them a reason to get up in the morning. I don't know. And then there's little things, like you'll hear, I listen to comedy all the time, and I'll hear comedians and other people, they'll talk about, they'll say things like a male ejaculation is an orgasm. It's not. That's not an orgasm for men. That's just ejaculation, nothing else. Orgasm is much deeper. Some men never experience an actual orgasm in their life. Most only a handful or two in their life. And in a lot of cases, not even sure why it happened. Maybe just overexcited, extra excited, and so it's a much more different experience. It's not just ejaculate. No, that's good. All right, I need a nap. No, that's not an orgasm. I guess one comedian was saying it like it makes you shimmer. I guess that's a good way to do it, to talk about it. Which I haven't had too many, but I have had some, and I was like, well, that was weird. A lot better than normal. you know. But why do almost everyone think that male ejaculation is orgasm? Because a few people said it, and then that's it. Nobody does the research. Um, that's one of the things that really irks me about people today is that they just hear something, and if the source to them is a good source, well, they just take it as fact now. You can't do that. I didn't really learn that much from my dad. He's a real asshole. But um, one of the things I did learn was he used to say it all the time was believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. Um, and I've lived by that. I mean that's absolutely true. So if somebody's telling you something, don't believe anything they're saying. Go look at it yourself. Do most of the time, especially nowadays with the internet. I mean, 5-10 minutes most of the time you can find out enough information to at least see if there's something there or not. Um, and people don't do that. They just don't do it. So there's this huge state of ignorance in the country. And I don't mean that they're stupid. I just mean that they don't know, but somehow they think they know, simply because someone said it. So that means it's true. And unfortunately, it's showing itself in an ugly way in this country. I mean, you look at Joe Biden. He keeps saying, "Oh, the biggest threat to the country is MAGA extremists." I don't know who those are. I don't know who those people are, MAGA extremists. But there's such a threat to the country. Well, where's all the arrests, the shootings, and the robbings, and the whatever? All they have is January 6th, which was a few hundred people who lost their mind, temporary, got too upset, and let their emotions get the better of them, and they did some fucked up shit, broke stuff, attacked police, and you know. And they're paying their price for it. So, but that's it. I mean, you literally. I mean, of course, any group. Once in a while, you might have one person here, and a couple years later, another. You can't blame 75, 80 million people for one or two people now and again. But because he keeps saying it, and then the media repeats it, I guarantee there's millions of people, maybe tens of millions, who believe it. That's why you see people. I mean, that's why they've demonized Donald Trump so much that just saying his name or seeing a red hat, even if it doesn't say "Make America Great," just the hat's red, and they go they get triggered and they're ready to pounce. For what? In a sense, I could understand in 2016 when you really didn't know what to expect. You weren't sure. But now, after 4 years of Trump, where was the bad? Where was the, were there cross burnings on black people's lawns again? No. Was KKK marching in D.C.? No. Was anything bad happening by the government? Were they raiding minorities and this? No, nothing. There's literally nothing there. And he did more for the blacks and Latinos than anybody else, than Obama, and definitely this potato that's the president. But yet they keep acting like this. Oh, this is big fear. Oh my God! How can you say that when he was already there for 4 years and nothing happened? But people believe it. There's still people today who believe that we found WMDs in Iraq, when we know with 100% certainty that's not what happened. It was all a lie. It came out, and everybody knows it. There's still people who believe it. Why? Because they heard it over and over and over and over and over. That leads me to my next subject. People don't think about things at all. So there's certain phrases that people in general say on certain situations. and it's repeated over and over and over and over, year after year after year. So it's just in people's heads. So something happens, and then just they regurgitate what they've heard that people were supposed to say at this time, and they just say it. It doesn't mean anything because there was no actual thought. They just boop right away came out. Like you didn't expect it, and then oh shoot, it was a shark, you know, fart, but no, a little something came out. It's like that, but it's with words. And the easiest example is when there's a tragedy. What do people say? Our hearts and prayers go out to the. Well, there's no meaning there because you're just repeating, regurgitating what you hear all the time. And people need to stop this. I see it. I kind of chuckle a little bit. I see it sometimes. I watch Fox News here and there, and I would hear a couple of people on there that they heard one phrase, and then next thing you know, they start to say that phrase pretty regularly. Like this one, Emily Campagno on Fox, she would say, and the like. She heard someone say it a couple years ago, and then now on a regular basis, she'll start talking about a subject and naming off things, and then and the like. She's just regurgitating, the same stuff that she heard. So we got to get back to thinking about what you're saying, and here's another thing. Some people will say something, and then I'll ask them, "Why did you say that?" They can't even tell you. They have to really think about it. It's like, wait a minute, you just said it. You don't know why you said that? Sometimes they don't even remember that they just said that. Because they're just repeating nonsense that's been fed to them, and it's just in there, and their brain just goes, okay, say this. Blech. And they say it. So people you got to start thinking about things first. Think about what you're going to say. Research things, think about it. Before I really go out and talk about a subject, I always do my due diligence, as they say. What else? This video is going on a little longer than I want. I have too much up here that I want to get out before I go. So here's something too. So I've done a lot of traveling in my life. I've been to every state many, many times. I've also traveled outside the country, not just Mexico and Canada. I did, but I lived in Ecuador for a little while. I lived in Greece for 2 years and traveled around Europe. And I didn't do any of that as a tourist. I've always done it with a little psychology and philosophy in mind. So I'm not going in it I'm just a blind tourist, I'm just going to go and have, no. I'm observing, I'm seeing, body language, looking at the culture, try to study a little bit of the history. So you get to know the people. And you get more culture, and I think if you get more culture, it's easier for you when you come back here to get along with everybody. Because you have more of an understanding of why someone is doing something, why this certain culture acts a certain way, does certain things. So, for example, I'm Greek, and for Greek Easter, they do the celebration about an hour, about 11 p.m. they start, and they go through till, I don't know, it's 12:30 or 1 in the morning on Easter morning. Uh, and the church where we're at, I always felt bad because right next door there was apartments, and here we are, and they're doing this, and part of it would be done outside. It's not super loud, but it's not exactly quiet. At 11, 12, 1 in the morning, Um, and so a lot of those people probably were like, "What the hell are they doing?" They was Satan worshippers. What's going on? Because to somebody who's never seen that before, you, you don't know. Your mind could start going that way. Another one is Mexican people like to party. They like to celebrate things, which is good. And in Mexico and here, they'll do they'll just have like a party and they'll have jumpers in the front yard. And I saw a wedding one time and it was in the front yard, part of it. Um, I mean, it's their property. Because their mindset is just, okay, it's my property. We're going to do our celebration. Um, and again, which is fine. But other cultures, they don't. If they don't understand it, they look at that and go, maybe it's bothersome for them. And all you have to do is just go talk to them, be friends with them, and learn their culture, and they learn yours, and then now you can understand. You still may not like it necessarily, but at least you understand it. That they're not doing it to be rude to their neighbors. It's just that's what they do. Um, and so that goes for every race. A lot of the problems we've had uh, between cultures in this country is from that. It's just ignorance and not knowing what that other culture is about, and not caring enough to try and find out. That's the problem. Like Mexican culture and African American culture, they clashed hard, and neither of them bothered to at least try and figure something out. Instead, they just fought, and they've been, for the most part, blood enemies like for decades. I mean, you go to Compton right now, for example, in California, and it's about half black, half Latino, and that's where the problems have been for decades. I saw it myself in the '90s when it was mostly black, but then it kept creeping in more and more Mexicans, and then the black people didn't like that, and then they started messing with the Mexicans, and then they started fighting, and now it's been going on for decades. Um, Stuff like that can be avoided. Um, anyway, where was I? Yeah, so um, it saddens me a little bit, because I have more culture because I've gone out and seen it, and I still to this day, I'll talk to some people who have never left, within like 50 miles of where they were born. And in this world, the way it is right now, like, how do you do that? Get out of your comfort zone. Go and meet new people. See new things. Experience something new. Um, anyway, just everyone needs to talk more. Talk, not argue. Just talk. Um, and again, you may never be friends, but you probably won't be enemies. So, I think that's good for today. Um, if you like this, click like, comment if you have anything else to add or whatnot. So, take care.